Oh hey, my name is Scout. Well, that's my playa name. I just returned from Burning Man. This is my third trip. And I'm here to share a little with you today about some of my gear tips that I have. Focused a little bit on the what type of gear I brought, but more importantly on why I choose to bring certain pieces of equipment. Right? Basically what I'm working with today, everything I have is essentially what I brought to the playa. I literally just returned, and so you can kind of see a little bit what it is I have. First thing is I have my gear, my camera bag. This is a Think Tank International Rolling Duffel. It's kind of my go-to bag for whenever I'm bringing my equipment out on portraits and weddings. Here is a makeshift travel bag. It actually came with my Octabank. It's made by a company called Elimchrome. And then my favorite bag, this was a gift from my wife. It's a Patagonia Think Critical Mass bag, and I like it because it's Velcro and I can carry my lighting equipment in that. So that's basically the travel breakdown. Next thing I'll show you is a little bit about my gear bag. After months of planning and gear testing, I literally just returned back from my third trip to Burning Man. It was an amazing experience, the best year for many reasons. I photographed lots of families and couples in love on the playa, and giving them my gifts, my images as a gift to them, is a reminder of the simple joy of love. One thing I had to do, and the most important thing, is I had to get explicit permission from the couples that I was photographing, allowed me to carry out my project in advance. I was also a proud member of the Burning Man 2010 documentary team, where I was giving assignments to photograph camps and the art that's out on the playa. So that's if you're a photographer and like images and you're planning on going to Burning Man, these are going to be some things that you may want to consider. All right. Number one, don't get too hung up on equipment. All right. These are creative tools which I'm about ready to share with you. And what I would recommend is simply bring whatever gear that you might need to create images for you. Okay, that's what you're shooting for yourself when you come here. There's no clients involved, there's no one paying you money. So that's important. If you need a flash, if you need a medium format camera, a 5-foot Octabank, or just a Holga, do it, bring it. The first thing I'll talk about is my kind of go-to cameras that involve more photojournalistic moments that I'll be documenting. I've got two of those. I've got my same camera, Nikon D700s. I've got a 24-1.4 and an 85-1.4. Okay, you'll see that both my cameras are actually tagged, and they're also covered with gaffer tape. And the gaffer tape helps to protect the equipment because the playa dust can leak into all the camera buttons, and really it's an alkaline dust, so it can really wreak havoc with the electronics in the camera system. So that's a big tip, is make sure you prepare your equipment accordingly. Now, one recommendation I have about carrying your photo gear is you have to be comfortable. You don't want to carry lots of backpacks with you out on the playa. So this is what I call as my money maker. And it's got the two cameras that I'm going to be using for a lot of my photojournalistic coverage. And the reason I only want two cameras is because really I only want two lenses. My 24 is my wide angle, and my 85 is my narrow. And I don't want to switch lenses. So if I see something that's shooting over here, well, I usually have to take my lens cap off first. And because the client's not paying me, I can make little mistakes like that. I can shoot detail, closer up headshots like that. Or if I want to switch for more panoramic, a little bit wider perspective, I can shoot like this. For the most part, I'm shooting in my signature style, one of which component includes shallower depth of field. There's a lot of distractions at Burning Man, so that 1.4 aperture really helps me to isolate my detail and my moment of what I'm trying to capture. Alright, I really love this thing called the Money Maker. It's lightweight, it's portable, and it allows me to kind of keep my hands free so that after I photograph people, what I do is I want to get their information. So on my iPhone app, I keep my iPhone in my pocket, I have an app called Release Me. And what that allows me to do is get their name and their email. They sign my iPhone. I'll take a reference photo that then is tied into the PDF that then I know how to get a hold of them when I'm back in the real world, if you will. So this is a key piece for me doing my personal project, is making sure that I can get my images back to my clients Yet I'm not having to hold the camera, you know, because I can have two hands to type all that in. So that's a big thing. The gaffer tape, as I mentioned, comes in handy to tape up your equipment. I use big thing on. I use that a lot. Spent a couple hours kind of getting that ready. The other thing I'll say is it's important to choose the gear that complements your style. If you like to shoot in JPEG in available light at 1.2, do it. You might need a sunshade. All right. If you're like me and you really light, I really prefer to shoot with my medium format phase 1, which then really allows the power of the strobe to be seen better in the photo. So you might be seeing with this, me shooting with this rig. This is my phase 1 645 Dia. I'm pairing with an IQ 160 medium format back. You'll notice that everything's taped up. You don't know what kind of camera it is, and I like that. I had a lot of people come up to me and kind of scratch their head, and it was a conversation point, but it didn't advertise like Lexus or BMW. It was just like, hey, these are my creative tools. The nice thing too is if I have to change my compact flash card out of the side of the camera, I can remove the tape or the battery. I can still power on and off the back, not a problem with the tape on. But then with the touchscreen interface, I'm able to kind of scroll through. I did an amazing wedding last night that I can, I don't need to use buttons. I can just double tap, kind of zoom in, say, did I get my critical focus? Whew, thank goodness. and then I can get back to my shooting. So this is one of my ways I really like to slow down on the Playa. As I mentioned, when I shoot with this, for the most part, I like to shoot it with a strobe. So built in with the Vidical grip is my V-Grip Air, and that allows me to send a signal to my strobe, and I can use my secret sauce, my lighting of my choice. So the environment at Burning Man is very hot and dusty. You really have to take care of yourself, so drinking lots of water is very critical. We're in actually Minnesota right now where you can hear the thunder and rain going on. So it's quite a contrast in environment. But I think that also forces you to remind yourself of the importance of taking care of not only yourself, which is critical, but also your gear. So the next thing I'm going to show you is going to be my lighting bag. And I have, in case a dust storm comes up, I keep everything in this nice bag that I can quickly throw it in there and keep it covered up. I can grab my goggles, my dust mask, and just kind of huddle in so that my gear is still safe and I'm safe. All right. The next thing I'm going to show you is going to be my lighting system. I have here is my power pack, and this is my head, and a head. And this is a big reason of my lighting style, that I can bring enough power out to the Playa. This is the Broncolor Move. It's 1200 watt seconds. So I can overpower the sun if I want, but very quickly, if I'm shooting at night, I can use it as a white balanced, sunlight balanced 55,000 Kelvin as a video light. And we were shooting on with that at night, wide open apertures, and it was just stunning. Okay. So the Broncolor system here has this nice little bag that helps keep out the dust from the Playa. It allows me, you know, the vents and whatnot, still dust can get in. So that's why I like to have a second bag that I can easily and quickly put that in. It also has a nice little handle here that I can put that on as on the light stand, and then that can help from my light stand from blowing down. My head basically kind of goes right in here, like that. I power it on. Whoops. And I'm good to go. Okay. My phase 1 will communicate a signal directly to my air sync, which is connected through a PC sync cord. So I just turn that on, and it's going to receive that signal and then send those high-speed flash pulses at 1/1600th of a second that the leaf shutter and the camera lens can work with to help balance that ambient light with my strobe. So important tip for your data storage. Well, I have all my compact flash cards in this, which I carry on this with me pretty much at all times, unless I'm maybe dancing or something, and so in that case it's in a safe place back at home, back at the tent. But I do like having lots of little zipper airtight, watertight kind of containers. Most of these are designed just for traveling, but it allows me to bring, this is an external hard drive, so that I can, if I run out of memory or I want to back things up, I can. So I think this is a really important thing to make sure that those images that you work so hard for are safe. So if there's one piece of photo gear that has helped me make some fun friends, it is this piece of gear right here, which is it's my Elinchrom bag that contains my light stand, like that. My tripod, which I don't shoot too much with, but it is nice to have. It's a piece of gear that I travel with a lot. But more importantly is this is my softbox. And it acts like it's all folded up right now, but it packs pretty light. This is a 5-foot Octabank that acts like a sail in the wind. So I oftentimes have to introduce myself to voice-activated light stand holders, as they sometimes call them, to help me hold my light. And then generally for helping me hold my light, I'll create a portrait for them and send that to them as well. So it's kind of how the gifts work. But what this works as is a way for me to soften the light so that I have a very painterly approach, which again goes back to that signature style that I really like in a lot of my lighting. So when I'm out in the playa, I generally have my bike on a bike trailer where my light stand is affixed to my bike trailer, so it's not going to blow down as easily. But one thing I like, because there's a lot of vents in here, I have this little, it's a Sea to Summit bag that it kind of goes right over like that. I can kind of seal it up, that if there's a big dust storm ahead, I know that that's going to be pretty tight and it's not going to rip like a plastic bag. So this is, I got it at REI. It's a great thing that, again, it helps me to protect some of my equipment. So a few words about my lighting modifier. I really like big, beautiful light, and that's what oftentimes is most flattering in my style for portraiture. And since I'm shooting portraits, I want to bring the right tool for the job. This is open up as about a 5-foot Octabank. And you'll notice that it's silver lined inside, so that if someone wants to get extra suntan, all I have to do is kind of hold it up on there and it kind of fills in that light. Used it only a couple times for that. But you'll notice really that lining, that silver lining, not only is it metaphorical for life, however, it also adds micro contrast. And that's going to be really important for textiles, texture. Of course, people are covered in playa dust. And so that really helps to bring out kind of that part of that makes that place special. The internal baffle here, you'll notice, it helps to soften my light out a little bit, but I still allow some higher contrast light to come through, and it's actually going to come through in a very circular manner. So it acts as, like I call, a poor man's Broncolor parabolic reflector. If I shot with the external diffuser on there, it would add a little bit, too much soft light, if you will. There wouldn't be maybe as much contrast as I would be looking for, but more importantly, that it'll just rip off and it acts more like a sail. So this way the light is, the wind can pass through a little easier. It's a little easier to hold. So this parabolic reflector essentially is going to attach right onto my strobe head. I make new friends as I meet new voice-activated light stand holders, and I have fun, and I shoot. And then I bring my art home to share, and I hope that this little video for you has been informational and inspiring. If you're interested in learning more about Burning Man, please check out. There's a lot of information out there on the web. I'm going to have a blog post detailing this video as well on my blog. It's kernphoto.com, and in addition to sharing some of my experiences, I shot 2 weddings there, which was a wonderful experience. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to add them on the line down below, and I try to answer those as quickly as possible. So thanks so much. I'd love to hear from you, and so long.
Guess what?
What?
Now it's going.
Now it's going. Okay. So one last thing is I couldn't have done this without the love and the support of my wife.